Welcome everyone to a very special episode of the JSB Spoilercast. I'm your host Rob, aka Zen. Joining me today is two wonderful goons. Chase, welcome back.
Hello. I'm ready to talk about peak.
Absolute peak. Also joined by Ryan. How are you, sir?
I too am ready to talk about absolute peak.
Absolute peak.
Absolute peak.
We are talking about peak. We have come together today to talk about a very special video game. We are going to talk about Lost Judgment in its entirety. All spoilers, all everything.
Yep.
Hold nothing back. Let's get this off of our chest.
I feel like as well, since we're talking about Lost Judgment, we should also talk about Judgment, since there's a lot, at least to me anyway, there's a lot of parallel between these two games.
Yeah. So everything is on the table, right?
Yeah.
We can get into Judgment, how it relates to Lost Judgment. We can go in every which direction y'all want to go when it comes to these two video games. Because man, I was telling Drew, because we basically sold him on the entire like RGG library of games, right?
Yes.
He's very much into it, but also we know that it's also a time commitment, right? So it's like you got to find the time to sit down with them.
This is true.
But I was sitting here thinking the other day, and I'm just like, I think RGG is really good in general, really just good at making very good crime dramas, and probably like the best crime dramas across all forms of media. Right.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. And I think like Lost Judgment like cemented that for me, because I was feeling that as I was going through like Yakuza and then like the Dragon to Capstone, that whole series. Well, for now. And then like thinking back to my time with Judgment and then Lost Judgment, I'm just like, it doesn't get much better than this. Like when we were talking about peak, I think this is peak like across all forms of media.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm super excited to like get into this, because this game like just fucking goes.
Here's the most wild part about this, though, right? If you think about it, this series, and Chase, you could probably get into this more because I know you know the story more about it, of what happened. But this series almost did not happen, if you remember, because of one of the main, I guess, actors that was being portrayed in the original Judgment got busted in like a really bad like drug conspiracy or stuff like that, right?
Yeah, the original actor for Hamura in Judge Eyes, the Japanese version, he got busted. I think he had cocaine, which I mean, even like having any sort of drug and having a big career like that in Japan, like that's already at that sentence. But my man's was like, yeah, let me just go all the way in. Let me make it coke. And so that was kind of spooky, but they managed to get to recast the character, and they pushed out that second print pretty fast. So that was the version that we ended up getting, and everything ended up working out for the most part.
Yeah, but that was a big, like, I remember, I think I heard it from you when that happened. That was like a really big thing that like really put the brakes on the game itself, and then eventually the series, obviously. But like that was like huge news, like with all that and everything, especially in Japan.
Yeah, anytime a celebrity is busted with any sort of drug use in Japan, it is like their entire acting career is just like scrubbed from history. Like they basically get deleted off everything,
which is wild.
It's insanely wild. Definitely not like justified in my opinion, right? But that's a whole other
that's a whole different conversation for another day.
Different podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But to sort of get into like the beginnings of Lost Judgment, I was talking to Chase earlier about the beginning of this game, right? Which features, Yagami and Kaito going down to Yokohama. And you're infiltrating a high school to uncover some bullying, or to prove that bullying is happening in the school, right? How do y'all feel about that entire segment? Because I know some people, when I started Lost Judgment, I heard a lot of people were talking about how that felt like a slog to some people, or it felt like it was a little too long. But when I was playing through it, I felt like it was pretty well paced, and like the way that sort of story connects with the other plot line going on back in Kamurocho with Ihara, right? And how he is the one that declared we're finding this dead body that is found in Yokohama, and that relates to the school that Yagami is attending. Like, I felt like all that happened relatively quickly, and that stuff is just like fascinating to me. Where do you guys kind of fall on like how this game begins and sort of the pacing of it all?
I never had an issue with it because I've always been that guy who hears people complain about how slow Yakuza 3 is and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, that game kind of bangs. I don't know what y'all are talking about. So I felt similarly with the beginning of Lost Judgment, where it was just like, I just treated it like the Okinawa segments in Yakuza 3, where it's like, it's a little bit slower, but it's like it's not like it's there for no reason. Like, you gotta kind of have the slow burn before everything catches on fire. And I appreciated that it was a different kind of setting, because it's like we played through Judgment 1 and it's all like corporate, like we're going through like medical centers, and like it's like the seedy underbelly of Kamurocho and all this shit. But with this, it's like, yeah, we're dealing with some stuff in a school because bullying is bad, and we gotta like prove that these bullies are here so things can happen. Mm-hmm. I never really had an issue with it. I thought that it set everything up pretty nicely, and like you said, it happens pretty fast. And when everything actually ends up all coming together, and it makes sense why the game starts off slow with this beginning segment. It's like, oh yeah, I never had an issue with it before, but now I really don't.
Yeah, just like the way it starts connecting, you're just like, no, this is needed. I needed all of this context.
I'll be honest. I thought it was funny as fuck when it was literally Yagami's like, all right, fuck these kids, we're about to beat the hell out of them.
Bro, like within the first 5 steps of stepping into Yokohama, they just witness the bullying happening on the street, and they're just like, all right, fuck them kids, and you just beat the shit out of these high schoolers.
Yeah, dude, and they're like, oh, it's fine, he's using snake style. It's like non-violent takedowns. You see some of those heat actions, bro?
Yeah,
come on,
bro. I definitely crushed this kid's skull. Like,
I'm saying.
But
it's actually insane.
But like, to the actual like question and stuff like that, everything, like, no, I thought as well that like it was laid out well, and I think in order to get a grasp of the situation, stuff like that, it had to be done that way. Like, sure. I don't think any shortcuts could have been taken to get like the actual scope of what is actually going on in this school, and seeing how all the parties involved with like the kids, and even the teachers with with Sawa and everything like that, and like seeing everything that they've had, that they're dealing with all this. And especially when again, we talk about the RGG like peeling the curtain back with the way the story develops or anything, like a topic like that, and like trying to build a story around like what's happening with that, you can't cut any corners in that regard. So like, I felt like I didn't think there was a issue with like pacing at all or anything like that and everything. I thought like it needed to be well explained and like, you know, you had to like get a full grasp of what was going on to be able to, you know, be able to basically tackle what was happening. And then like as it developed more and more and more, you're like, oh yeah, I'm glad that, you know, things were explained the way they were, because it was a lot to unpack in a lot of different parts when it came to like how things developed from that. But like I said, like I felt like that it needed to happen that way in order to get like the full effect of what was going on.
So like let's start to like unpack, right?
Yes.
Which thread do we want to go down? Does anything stand out immediately to where like you want to talk about something? Any sort of story threads?
Chase, I'll let Chase start, because like there's a couple of guys, but I'm more or less wanting to kind of like piggyback off stuff.
Mm-hmm. I will be real with you.
Yeah.
I started Lost Judgment when the game came out. I got like 60% of the way through, and then shit happened, and it made me put it on the back burner. So a lot of that like first half or so, I don't remember shit about.
Fair.
I was kind of trying to do the exact same thing you are.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, I finished this game like 8 months ago. So like,
This is true.
Yeah. So like, there's parts that stand out. Like
you brought.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, you brought up Sawa-chan, right?
Yeah.
And what about talk about like a tragic character, right?
Very.
Here is someone that like knew the truth of what happened originally, right? So it's like you have Ihara who just went to jail, who was sentenced to jail, right, for groping.
Yeah.
And then he had that announcement of like, you're going to find this body of a student teacher, Mikoshiba, I believe his name was.
Yep.
You're going to find this body in a warehouse. And he's just like, haha, have fun, like Joker smile. And he gets locked up. So when you get to like Sawa and you sort of realize that she was part of the original case with Ihara and his son, who was bullied in the school, who was bullied by Mikoshiba, right? And this is a tale of like revenge. So it's a case of, you have this sense that Ihara had to have committed this murder, but this murder, upon the autopsy, took place at the exact same time as the groping incident.
Right.
How did this occur? Right. And as you start to question the characters around that, Sawa is like that main link. This is somebody who at the time was related to the class where this was happening, right?
Yeah.
Like she knows that Mikoshiba was bullying Ihara's son, right? But when it came to that court case and she's called as a witness, she was basically pressured to say nothing because we don't want the school to look bad.
Yeah.
Right. It's this whole giant cover up that even the principal who you're initially working under is like trying to shy away from this. Right. Like his whole deal is like he doesn't want any bullying to be found in this school because we must have a clean record. Right. And when you have that sort of discussion with him and Sawa in the office, and she like turns to him and she's just like, I don't want you covering this up, right? And it's like you realize she's thinking about like the previous times, right? Yeah. And just over time, like Yagami is trying to get more and more and more information out of her as like her life is starting to be threatened because you're starting to pull on threads that you shouldn't be pulling on. And ultimately, I did not know this game was going to like kill her off when they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that was like one of the biggest oh shit moments for me, because I was certain that like this character is going to like come around. She's probably going to be like a bit of a mainstay throughout like this story all the way until the end. Right. And we're probably going to have like some good ending with her. Right. No,
Hell no, dude.
Hell no. And that's, I feel like that murder scene is like the first time, at least in like this game, where just like shit just did not go right for Yagami, because like he comes into this game very confident, right?
Yeah,
because he feels like he's already dealt with like the hardest part of his career in Judgment 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just seems like it's just business as usual. But man, no, dog.
Nah, not at all. And it's this moment of just like, could he have done something different, right? What didn't he notice? And the fact that the one that killed her being Soma, that motherfucker.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
That's exactly that.
Like, fuck that guy to hell and back. But even then, like, that's starting to be covered up, and it's like, bro, how deep does this go?
Yeah, dude. And I think the performance in both English and Japanese, when Yagami screams when he himself breaks down when he finds out that Sawa died, like, that shit is crazy.
Yeah, it was absolutely like, that was, to me, that was the gut punch of all gut punches. When that whole thing transpired the way it did and everything. And like, it's funny when I look back at that entire scene when Yagami was kind of captured and someone was talking to him, and like Yagami was like, what happened to Sawa and everything, and someone was like, oh, don't worry, she's sleeping. And I was just like, oh, I don't like that foreshadowing. Because like there was like that one part where she kind of cracked the door open and you could see like she was kind of beat up a little bit.
She was bruised up. Yeah, she was bleeding around the lip.
And it's just like, it's like, oh, this is not good. Like I had, like, it was the worst feeling to have that be like, why do I feel the worst happened to her? And then when you actually see it and you're like, oh God, it actually happened. And it's funny because I kept bringing up, I was like, there's a ton of parallels. There's a ton of parallels that's going to be happening in this. And unfortunately for Sawa, she was the Emmy in this. Because,
dude.
I mean, that's the exact parallel that I thought of as soon as it happened. It's just like, unfortunately, and this time Yagami's seen it with his own eyes, another Emmy happened. And that's, but I think the difference this time around, though, whereas Yagami was so afraid of like having to face that part of it and everything, when it was, you know, the with the Emmy stuff and everything, like he was so hesitant and afraid to like tackle that aspect of that in the first case from Judgment, but it was needed for him to be able to solve the case of the first game. This time around, when this happened, after he got his bearings back and everything, and after he got over the emotions and everything, it made him even more determined to be like, no, we need to solve this shit now, and we need to take care of this now. And that's where I said, like, a lot of the things with Lost Judgment was more of like reaffirming where Yagami stands as far as his morals and everything, and everything that he's built. It was just a reaffirmation of that. But the whole Sawa stuff was just, oh man, it was just absolutely heartbreaking too, because like she knew what had happened. She wanted to come forward. She wanted to make things right and everything, stuff like that. But it's just, things just kept happening to where she couldn't. And then when it was her opportunity to make things right, unfortunately, she, you know, gets killed off by, you know, one of the probably weaselest, like one of the most evil characters that you could come across was Soma and how he is. And it's just like, I did not think there was going to be anyone as cold and as like, not demented, but just like, I'll just leave it at cold. I don't think there was ever a chance where a character was going to be more cold than what Kuroya was in the original Judgment. But man, Soma took that to a whole different level, and then some. Especially the damn scene with the kids and he shot the damn paintball at the one high school girl.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, I was just like, when that happened, yeah. I stopped dead in my tracks. I'm like, this motherfucker. Like, are you serious? Like, oh my God, Soma, I just wanted to strangle with a passion.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to how strong the writing in the game was to up to that point, and obviously past that point, to where it's like we saw him shoot the girl, and like, yeah, it got revealed that it was a paintball and everything, but the writing was so strong. We thought he would shoot a fucking kid.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Like, shot a fucking kid,
yeah.
One of those moments where like you are so invested, you're believing in everything that's happening on the screen right now. It is not out of character for Soma to have shot that child. Right.
Exactly.
And even though like it was a very quick like reveal of it was a paintball, it's just like it was such an effective scene.
It
just
was
like
the absolute shock factor of that whole thing is just like, how low will Soma go to like complete his mission? Or complete whatever his task was and everything. Especially for who he was working for, in essentially, it was just like, wow, they stooped to those type of levels, really? Like, there was a big shock when it came to that.
Yeah, so from branching off of like Sawa, who is really like, when you think about all of the characters that play, right, that's not on like Team Yagami, right? She's like the only character that is really like truly innocent. Right? Like when she dies, she is the first like innocent life to have been taken, in a sense, right? And that means a lot. Like when you say that Yagami kind of it reaffirms like Yagami's moral stance, like that is that moment of like, okay, shit has gone too far, now an innocent person has been taken, like we need to put a stop to this, and y'all's foolishness has carried over to this point of like, now just innocent people are being brought in, and we can't, this has to stop.
It's exactly the same thing that happened with Emmy in the first game. Exactly the same thing.
And I think that's one of the strongest aspects of Judgment versus Lost Judgment, where it's like Judgment 1, it for most of the game, it was there to establish Yagami's morals and establish what kind of a character he is, and give him like his character arc of like finally being able to accept everything that happened and all this kind of stuff. And Lost Judgment is here where all of his morals and just his character, just like they are tested to the absolute limit. Like, this man got so close to breaking so many times in this game.
And to backtrack a little bit more, and to set up sort of the character that is pushing Yagami so far, we have to talk about Koana, right?
Yes.
Which I love this character. Like Jin Koana is such a fascinating antagonist.
That's the big thing there. You got to put the question mark at the end.
It's a big question mark.
You have to put the question mark, because like, I get why he's doing the things that he does. So he is a character that shows up initially when Yagami gets jumped as he is trying to meet with Sawa to get some information, right?
Yokohama's handyman.
Yeah, Yokohama's handyman decides to step in and help Yagami, and he kind of joins the group for a little while, right? He is this fixer kind of guy. But you kind of feel like there's more to him, right? And as you start to uncover the mysteries surrounding this whole case, you realize that Koana is directly involved with a lot of this, right? Where he is the one who is essentially reaching out to those who are affected by the bullying, right? So like, he will reach out to, for example, Ihara, right? Or the parents of a child that has either committed suicide or died by bullying, and will offer them a plan to take revenge, right? And he himself, being part of one of the original classes that had the suicide at the school, right? Like, he was the teacher at one point. He is basically using those students that were bullying at the time. He's blackmailing them, right, into helping him murder these bullies, right? Which it's so crazy because it's like he's doing this because these bullies, these people are getting away with it, right? They're not being punished by the law, so there's no faith that the government or the laws are protecting these individuals, right? So he is very much this vigilante, right? And you can see where he's coming from, right? Like, this whole situation like started with a cover-up, right? And everything that's going on in this whole series really is about covering things up and not exposing them, and he's trying to bring that stuff to light or bring justice out, right? And I can't fault him for that, right? And that's why we have to put that like kind of question mark at the end, because it's like, I get it.
Yeah,
I fucking get it.
That's a big reason why I like Kuwana so much as a character, because it's like, as soon as I beat the game, I immediately made the comparison of Takayuki Yagami and Jin Kuwana is the judgment equivalent of Kazuma Kiryu and Ryuji Goda. They're two sides of the same coin. They have the same motivations, but they go about it in different ways.
Very different ways.
Yeah, and I think that's such a sick way of doing it, because it's like you said, if two characters have the same morals and they just end up going about it in different ways, depending on those different ways, it's kind of like, maybe I'm with you on this one, man.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though, because like, they obviously want the same thing, but they're doing it different ways about it. And where Yagami had been part of, you know, the as being a former lawyer, being part of the system, part of the judicial system, the law enforcement system, all that stuff, or anything, and where Yagami is like, you know, hey, we have to go by the system because this is the only way they could better the system and things like that. And Kawana's like, no, fuck the system. It doesn't work. You know, I'm handling this my own way and the way I see fit and everything. That's where, you know, it just draws the parallels, because it's just, or like, you know, not the parallels, but like draws like the conflict of interest at that point too, because you could tell they both want to do the same thing. It's just, Kawana's ways definitely test morals. Like, it's just like, I still feel what you're doing's wrong, but it's one of those hills. It's like, okay, well, if my way is so wrong, what's your suggestion? How do you do it? And it's just like, I don't have the answer. And that's kind of what the whole thing was like. It was kind of like Yagami's like, I don't have the answer for that, but I know what you're doing's wrong. So it's like, it's that fine line between like doing, you know, trying to do the right thing, and then but at the same time, your way is also wrong. Like, and that's like the ultimate test with it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool having a character having like a conflict of interest like that, where our quote unquote protagonist is in this situation. He is like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I don't know what the right thing is here, but I do know that what you're doing is the wrong thing.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna stop you from doing that. I don't know what the right thing is, but I'm gonna try to figure it out.
And that's exactly what Yagami's whole thing is.
And it's so easy to like get a character like Kuwana wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Because like throughout the entire game, like you really get a feel that he believes in what he's doing. He believes that it's right, and he's standing by those that he has helped. Right. Like he has zero fucks for bullies. Right. That is pretty clear. Like at the end of the day, if you're a bully, you basically have no rights. Right. And that can be a little, yeah. But the families that he has helped, he is always there to like protect them, right? Like with the case of Reiko Kusumoto, who is the vice minister of the health ministry, right?
Yeah.
Which is a woman who is in a lot of power, right? But her son was also a victim of bullying, to which she relied on Kuwana to help her deal with that, right? And that ends up resurfacing, right? And that starts to play, that starts to unravel a whole other plot line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a theme with this game that happens a lot.
Yeah. There's so many plot lines here, right? And that's kind of how we have to like break it down, like kind of character by character and just kind of follow threads. Where it's like she's in this position. Her son is in a coma right now due to bully violence, right? And I forget how many years prior it was, but she relied on Kuwana to take vengeance for herself. She literally drove the knife into that bully at the time and killed them.
Yep.
And the character that we're introduced, Bondo, right, who is the head of public security,
yep,
basically got dirt on her and is like, okay, we're going to use this to essentially blackmail her to do what we need her to do because he wants the fucking government money. You know what I mean?
That government money.
That government money. And you see like Yagami, when you have that meeting with Reiko, when you finally get like you're pulling at threads, right? And you're just like, how deep does this go? And then you see it goes all the way up the fucking government chain, and you get to Reiko, and you finally meet with her, and you have that taxi ride, and it's just like you're kind of breaking everything down. You have this moment of like Yagami is like, I understand the position you're in because Reiko is good at her job. Like she is legitimately like a good person and is trying to do good in the government, right? She's trying to fight against corruption. She has a good track record of doing so. She is high like a high public opinion. You know what I mean? This is for all intents and purposes, the murder aside, she is a very, very good person.
Like her, and even like her, like I think they said like her approval rating with her position being like the vice minister of health and everything, so like that. Like they were saying like her approval rating was like the highest as it's ever been for any person in a position that she's been in. So like
exactly,
she's like way up there as far as like popularity and like she opinion of her.
Yeah, she is a legitimate wall for anybody that is trying to do some corruption work within the government in that space, right? Yeah. So Yagami is in this taxi with her, and he's come to this decision of just like, I need you to turn yourself in, right? Like it's such a crazy conversation because it's like by turning in Reiko, you can ultimately open the floodgates for like a power vacuum for that seat. You know what I mean? And things can get insane. But he needs her to turn her in order to get like justice for Sawa, in order to start unraveling this whole thing. Because at the end of the day, an innocent person was brought into this, and we cannot let Sawa go unforgotten. Yeah. Right. Yep. And that is such like a complicated like scenario. It's one of those scenarios where we're talking and it's just like, Yagami, maybe you should just let this go. And you see how like going back to Kuwana, you see how he wants to protect Reiko, even when she like ultimately succumbs to being blackmailed because her son wakes up at the wrong moment.
The incredibly worst timing to ever wake up.
Yeah,
The classic anime trope.
a classic anime, and Bondo's just like, "Oh, your son, huh? Well then, that's a different story." And she sells out Kuwana. At the end of the day, he understands that she's doing what she needs to do to protect her family, but he's still trying to protect her. You know what I mean? And that part of Kuwana is such a like strong like showing of what kind of character he is, to where he is also just like it's the perfect creation of like a character of this archetype.
Yeah.
I'm willing to believe in him. I am willing to like see his point of view on things, and like in some ways agree with him, and not necessarily feel bad about agreeing with him. Like I trust in him, you know, in a way. And I start to question Yagami at times, and I'm just like, when you're having that showdown between the two, I'm just like, I don't know where this is gonna fall.
Yeah,
like,
dude. It's so crazy because it's like you're playing as Yagami, but like sometimes you're like, I don't know, am I playing as the bad guy here? I can't tell.
I can't tell. And the only thing at that point that Yagami is thinking about is just Sawa at that point, right? Like nothing else really matters. And that is the thing that he's hammering home the most, of just like, I don't really give a damn about any of you fucks, but this innocent person's life was taken, and we cannot let this go like buried.
Yeah.
Right. And that is the thing that is just like, that is his rock.
Yeah.
Right. That is the foundation of like his motivation is justice for Sawa.
Because and Yagami's point the entire time was, and I think that's where I kind of lean to it, is like that. It's like, you all don't realize everything that you guys have done that you thought was right the entire time has now brought an innocent life that should have not been brought in to, you know, to begin with, them having their life ended. And that's the thing. It's just like, and even in like, you know, the whole thing, you know, where Kuwana was saying things, you know, sacrifices have to be made in order for things to be right. And that's where Yagami goes, was that what Sawa was to you? Just a sacrifice? Right. And it's just like, it's kind of the same deal with that, like, again, and I go back to how the Emmy stuff with Emi Terasawa, like in the first one, you know, the medical guys that were trying to find that cure for Alzheimer's and stuff like that and everything, and having what happened there stall their potential, you know, progress and everything with the Alzheimer's drug and everything. Was Emi Terasawa the sacrifice in order for the research and stuff like that to continue for the Alzheimer's drug, you know? Like, it's just like, it's that exact same like feeling. It's like when, like, Yagami's whole thing is, when is human lives considered sacrifices?
And the thing that really drives that whole thing home is like, Kuwana doesn't have like a strong comeback for that.
He doesn't.
For sure. Right. And it's like, he recognizes this is wrong. Right. It's not like immediately he's just like, yes, sacrifice, everything. You know what I mean? It's really like, you can see how conflicted he is about it. Like, he feels bad that Sawa was brought into this. Like, you can see it, you can feel it. Anytime Yagami brings it up, he has like this conflicted like sort of look on his face. Like, you again, you are believing in this character, and he understands that, but it's like,
I mean, I think, and if I remember correctly, he even made the comment of being like, how many times are you going to throw that back in my face? Like, I remember him said that. I think I remember a direct quote with him saying that.
Yeah. Right. It's eating at him. Yeah. Right. Like, you can tell it's getting under his skin to a degree. And even by like, ultimately by the end, right? Like, Kuwana does get away. You know what I mean? And it's this weird feeling of just like, like, you know, that more, he has said it himself, like, he's not going to stop what he's doing. Right. So you know that like more murders are going to occur. Right. That this vigilante is still out there.
Yeah.
and it's just like it is such a weird, bitter, kind of sweet moment because like you also don't want him to go to jail, you know, and it's just like this is a fucking good ending.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, it's so well done because it's like you get through Judgment 1 and it's like the ending is like people died throughout it, so it's not like a happy-go-lucky like, oh, everybody's doing great ending or anything like that, but it is a very positive ending. But you get to you roll credits on Lost Judgment and you're just sitting there and you're just thinking you're just a potato in your chair, just like fuck.
You're just like fuck, right? And again, to kind of like rewind a little bit, because there's another path we have to go down here to kind of capstone a lot of this stuff, and that's getting into like the whole RK gang and what that means with like Bondo and stuff like that, right? So it's like Bondo has what a crazy fucking character.
I'm saying,
yeah,
like
for the little bit
Bondo,
of time we saw him, yes, it's wild what he was.
Very effective use for as little as he's in this.
Yeah,
right. Like he doesn't have a ton of scenes, but the ones that he's in, like he is a presence in the room that he is in. So we describe like Bondo as the head of public security, which is like kind of a bullshit title of just saying like, yo, he is just running shit, right?
Yeah,
like if anybody's stepping out of line, like Bondo is there to fucking snuff them out. His whole deal with like the RK gang is filling in a void for the Tojo clan that is now disbanded, right? They're kind of running amok all over the place.
Yep.
And one of the reasons why the government is not stepping in to like shut them down completely is because Bondo and public security finds that they need the RK gang to exist in order to gather more information about like the underworld, right? So it's this case of like, we're funding the gangs that are on the streets because we need more information about what's going on in the streets. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, sir, please.
And guess who is one of the leaders of the RK gang?
Soma.
Motherfucking Soma.
Soma, who is also undercover as he is on payroll for the public security. Which fucking A, right? And that's where all the pieces like start to really just come together, and you're just like, this is just a web of bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
You know, like so now Yagami is taking this fight to like literally like the highest degree of like staring down Bondo, and it's just like, bro, you offed an innocent person. Like your man's off again, throwing Sala's name everywhere. Of just like, we can't let this go. Like, I'm going to take all of this down. What an insane character Soma is.
Yeah, man. He's so it's crazy because like when you first see him, and for a long time, he just seems like a pretty one-dimensional, like, oh, this is our like psychopath character who will just kill anybody for whatever reason. That's all you think of him as for a hot minute, and then the whole thing with Bondo comes out, and it's like, damn, he is that, but there's also a whole bunch of other shit here.
He is that to the nth degree with a lot of fucking power behind him.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a crazy fucking street thug. Like, this is an insane man powered by the government.
Well, and it was interesting because like when you are investigating and you're looking more into Soma and everything, right? And where it's literally like, especially when you're talking with the other guy that was running the RK gang, and his name. Yeah, him. And like when they're talking about like their time as being Yakuza members and stuff like that, and they gets brought up that Soma found a way to leave the group before the Toho clan disbanded and everything. And Kaito's like, wait a minute, how does someone just straight up leave the family? Like, he's like, that doesn't happen. How exactly did he just leave?
Especially for someone at like Soma's level, right? Because he wasn't like big, right?
No.
It was just like some small time person that was part of Tojo just knew to leave, and they just up and let him leave. And it's brilliant that like Kaito is the one that like pieced that together, right? Because obviously he would know this, right?
Right.
Being former Tojo himself. And it's just like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, something smells. so, Chase, you'll understand that. One thing I don't think we could talk about yet because Rob's still yet to play it is the Kaito files.
Yeah, no Kaito files. That's off the table.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, this is like, and then when it was piecing everything together, and my other man's that was running Arcade Gang was like, oh shit, wait a minute, no, everyone get the fuck out, and then he gets shot up and everything, something like that. With the way it is, it's like, it then was pieced together. It's just like, holy shit, Soma is working with the government. That's why he was able to do what he's able to do.
Yeah.
Like the whole piecing together of that whole situation was just like, whoa.
Yeah, that was a really good scene, because I'm always a sucker for you finding out stuff at the same time as characters in the game. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you find out everything about Soma, that's when Akutsu also finds out, and he gets cooked immediately after.
Yes.
And the other parallel to that was when in the first game, when Hamura let you know who the mole was, when it was Kuroiwa. Mm-hmm. Also, someone who had a government role being the head of police, and he was the one that was murdering everybody.
We can't let that info out. We got to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Judgment series is just a series about fucking corporate meddling.
I mean, there's a lot of it.
Yeah. This shit runs deep, right? It runs deep throughout all parts of society, and it's amazing because, like, when you said earlier, Chase, of just like how the first game is really like centered around that corporate sort of bureaucracy, right? This game starts off like you see it at like a school level, right? Like you can see that this isn't just something that occurs between like gangs or something that occurs, between like the police force or government or anything like that. It's like this happens even on the ground floor for just like everyday people, just like a simple case of bullying.
Yep.
Like it touches every aspect of this world's characters in their lives, right? And that's what makes it like so fascinating, right? That they can tell this story in such a way that just
yeah, it's crazy because there's so many different storylines that are going on in here, and like, yes, at the end they're all tied up together into the same bow, but even if they weren't, they would all come together because it's like it's the same story being told at varying degrees of like varying magnitudes.
Yes.
Like you got it on the school level between high schoolers, and then you go all the way up to the same exact thing happening in the fucking government.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. What other what other threads can we go down? I feel like we summed up a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like as far as like just the character development and how things worked out the way they did and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to think of other things to kind of tackle. I have
a few more.
Okay.
Now I just thought of it. first, I want to say I feel like I should have led with this, but it's fine. We'll get into it now. Saori is still best girl.
Yes. Yes.
Saori is a fucking champ.
Yep. That is the best RGG girl in the RGG universe, hands down.
You right.
Absolute free.
There's no debate, no competition whatsoever.
Like her willingness to just like go out on a limb and like put her life in danger for information, like she was just ready to step up and do that shit. And we talked about like the club scene, right, where Akutsu does get shot. Like that was in part because of Saori, right? Yeah. Like she is the one that is sent to go investigate, and the only way that we can get in with our K gang is through the cabaret clubs, right? So it's like it's time for her to suit up once again, and put these fucking cabaret girls to shame, because she is low key S++ tier throughout all of Kamurocho.
Saori out here putting on the cabaret dress like a fucking Sentai hero.
Bro, absolutely.
Yep.
100%, right? So in her quest to get more information, that is ultimately what leads the crew to find Akutsu, because the highest paid cabaret girls will get a bonus personally from Akutsu, and it's funny that like the first time she sort of suits up, and you're getting some information, you run into some like low level arcade gang members, and like very quickly like the conversation sort of like devolves, and she kind of gets figured out, right? And it's those same goons that ends up like recognizing her when she does the second attempt at infiltration. And then that's kind of what leads that whole scene to break down, and like Yagami and everybody was still like they were tailing her, right? Like they had her back the entire time, and then that leads to the whole scene unfolding. But what a character to just fucking step up, like taking on the cases the best that she can, you know what I mean?
I will say, very
strong-willed character.
I will say Genda and Hoshino didn't do her any favors, though.
Oh, bro. Listen, I understand, though. I would have been right there with them. Truth be told.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me she's fucking S++ tier and we don't get to see this shit?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Now, their dumbasses should have, like, dressed up a little bit. Like, they should have went incognito a bit.
Right.
You know? They should have thought that plan through.
Yeah.
But I don't blame them one bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Essentially, like, I don't know what option you picked, but when I picked the option where, like Saori started flirting really hard with Hoshino, and Hoshino's getting all flustered and everything, and you hear Genda going, "Hey, you two, this is not acceptable." How was just starting to go off like the grandfather for sure.
I picked the exact same stuff, and it killed me, man.
It was so
strong.
It was very, very funny. That was a very funny moment. How about the way they actually executed the actual murder?
Yes, that was the other one.
That, like, how involved that whole thing was for it to be executed the way it was. Because if you remember earlier in the story, like, a tape comes up showing Ehara murdering the other guy, like, straight up. And they're like, wait, how did this work the way it did and everything, stuff like that. Because it was
very appropriate for this game to just like immediately throw in the whole like, what if this was just AI generated, right? In a time where we're being flooded by AI generated shit, I was just like, oh, this is very topical right now.
Yeah,
it's crazy because like everybody's like, what if it was AI generated? What if it's a deep fake? What if it's faked? Like, that's how you know it's a modern day ass game.
Yes, like ripping from the headlines. And it's, as you said, it's such a well executed plan, right? Because it's very easy to cast doubt on that video, because here you have the guy literally just being convicted guilty and all this evidence that he is on the train, like he did the groping, right? But you see that he is also another one that was working with Kuwana to do a lot of this stuff, right? So everybody from the person that was groped to those that were at the train station, to those that captured them and captured the footage, all of those were like the bullies that Kuwana has under his thumb. Right? And this whole plan of like, we're gonna send one of them to scan the card or whatever and get to like the train station early, and then we're gonna do like the switch at like this moment here, which is like right in between where the camera where the station cameras are positioned, so it's a blind spot. Like when they were breaking that whole plan down, I was like, yo, this is kind of insane.
There's layers to it, bro.
There's layers, because I was really wondering, like, how are y'all going to make this work? In a way that is like coherent, in a way that makes sense, right? Without like some insane funny business.
Right.
But they tied it up really well. Like, it all makes sense. It makes sense who the actors were in that whole escapade, how each of them tied into everything else.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
And also the other thing that was wild, like, well, how was the 3D mask? Like, they 3D printed Ahara's face for Kuwana to be before they did everything else. Yeah, and it's just like absolutely crazy, like with the whole thing.
And they got into the details of that too, because it's like you 3D printed the face mask, but he was also like wearing a mask at the time as well.
Yeah,
right. So it's like, and he's also on like security footage, so you already don't have like the best resolution on that camera either. So it's just like all those layers make it very believable for you to see this footage and be like, oh yes, that is Ihara.
Yeah, and
right,
and
like
back to Sari as well, because remember Sari was like the one that was pressing for Ahara to be charged for groping and stuff like that, and like how that pissed her off, because she's like, they duped me into thinking that this actually happened, and it was just all just a ruse.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like a revenge tale for her as well, right? Very much so. Like, Ihara, at the end of the day, like his whole motivation was to show that the justice system is awful, does not work, right? Like, his whole plan was, after 6 months of being jailed for groping, he was going to come out and admit to it anyway, right? But because the evidence wouldn't have been strong, it would just been a case of like, you know, they wouldn't be able to really convict them. But he was willing to put it all out there to show that the justice system does not get this shit right.
Right.
Like, y'all let a murderer go. That in itself is a fucking wild plan, but like how it wraps back to Saori, and it's just like, you're using me for this. Like, that's fucked up. I will not have this. And it's fascinating how like they go through the steps of like trying to reverse the guilty verdict, right? Which is insane in and of itself. For like the defense, or what is it? Because like they knew he was guilty, and it's like, we're trying to get them to reverse this decision in a society that does not ever reverse decisions.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's already an uphill battle to even like get the hearing to do a reversal, let alone prove why we need to do this. And it's just like the details that they went through to explain their entire system and the steps they had to take to do that was just wild. Absolutely fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Again, like some of the best fucking crime drama I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy everything that ends up happening.
Yeah.
There's one character that turned out very differently than I thought they were going to be, and that was Tessa.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's my boy.
Tessa is definitely the dude.
That's the boy. Because, like, at first, like, you run into him, and he's hired by the RK gang to deal with Yagami and whatnot. Or actually, it was Kuwana, right? I think initially.
I think it was Kuwana,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kuwana hired him, but pretended like he didn't, because Tesso doesn't know who hires them. They just get contracts.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, at first I'm like, this guy's just like a crazy motherfucker that's just trying to fucking fight, right? Like, he has like that energy of just like, oh, Yagami, you're pretty fucking good. I'm just gonna fucking harass you for the rest of this game. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna be that character.
Wow. Majima too. That's crazy.
Yeah, Majima too, man.
That's basically what it
Majima.
Yep.
But he ended up being way more chill than like I ever thought that character would be.
Yeah, dude.
He is just like, now that he's like not under contract, and he's saving face by like essentially making up with Yagami, but having Yagami address him as Aniki, right?
Yeah.
So this way he can save face in the organization, but also like befriend Yagami and kind of help him through this shit, because he also doesn't want to see his city like overrun by this fucking nonsense brought by Kamurocho.
Yeah.
He's like, get the fuck out of my town. We need to put a stop to this shit. But like, there's a moment where Kuwana and Yagami are fighting in Tesso in what's his name, the one that has the crush on Saori.
Hoshino.
Hoshino. Where Hoshino and Tesso are like stepping back, and Hoshino's just like, should we stop them? And Tesso's like, nah, just they'll tire out.
Yeah.
Like, this is the point.
He's been here before. He's seen this kind of shit.
He knows. And then like eventually, like, you know, they have to like kind of step in, just like, y'all chill for a second. Like, you're ruining the place. I have to clean up after y'all. Y'all need to sit down.
Yep.
You know, like, all right, we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, he's like, all right, y'all can knock it off now. Like chill out. Yeah. No, Tesso was a very good, was definitely a very good support character and everything. Like, because like I didn't know what to expect of it, but then like, yeah, he just ends up being kind of like one of the boys, in a sense.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like I have the game physically, and the game has it has art on the inside of the insert where you can use it as a reversible cover. I don't think it works all that great, but you can, and it's just like the part of the dynamic intro between Yagami and Tesso, where Tesso's like doing the flip over him, and he's got like his like Wolverine fucking claw hand outstretched towards him, and it's like, that was the first thing I saw when I opened the case. So it's like, how am I gonna see that? And then he's just the chillest dude in the world.
He's such a fucking chill vibe. Yeah. Like, he only gives off that intent like one time.
Yeah.
Like the initial meeting, and then everything after that, you're just like, you're just a chill dude, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Like, you just try to like sit back and enjoy some nice meals cooked by Zal, huh?
Yeah. My man's just running up in Zhao's shop, and he's just like, yo man, this is my favorite place. You guys gotta get a load of this shit.
Bro, I was dying. It's like, what a fucking cameo appearance.
Yeah. I was really hoping that it would happen, because it's like it's all the Liu Meng, and I like the two series kind of being separate but being in the same universe.
Yes.
But so I was like, oh, don't put anybody from Yakuza 7 in here. But I like them putting in the guy who canonically runs a restaurant, running a fucking restaurant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yes. Mm-hmm. Like, I like cameos, but I like it in the way that like this game did it, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't need the characters from the other series to play like an integral plot point or anything like that. I don't even need like a side quest involving them, right? But if I see them just like on the street doing something, like knowing like their personality is like, this is what they would be doing at this time of day. Like, I think that stuff is kind of cool.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So it's like
Zhao's a grown ass man. He's got to bring home the bag.
Absolutely. It's got
to. You also pay a visit to that bar, right? So you see the bartender that's in there as well. And I think that there's one more cameo appearance that I'm forgetting. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was definitely like a minor. The reporter.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You see the reporter in one of like the final like lawsuit courtroom cases.
Yeah.
And I was just like, these are cameos done right, I feel. Like,
definitely.
If you didn't play the other games, you're not missing anything. But if you did, just like, oh shit, it's that dude.
Yeah, you're the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. You got the beer in your hand. You're like, oh,
yeah. But yeah, man. One more interesting character, which I mean, I keep pulling these out, right? Because this game has so many fucking characters. And I just thought of it. Was the officer Watanabe?
That's my boy.
Yeah, Watanabe.
Yeah. I again, a character that doesn't appear very often. Right. But when he does, it is very important, and like he like commands attention when he's on the screen, right?
Absolutely.
And it is a character that like at first you sort of establish this partnership with Yagami, right? And you're both like, he's frustrated because like the police aren't like cooperating and he can't get the information he needs from Kamurocho. You know what I mean? Like that typical like police departments working independently because pride is on the line.
Yeah, just like the beat cops on the streets, just like, man, I'm just trying to do my fucking job.
Exactly, right? And Yagami gets caught by him when he's investigating the murder scene, right? To which they have like a small little showdown there. And it becomes like a sort of working partnership of like, let's share information, let's kind of work together on this. And that goes a couple of different places, but ultimately like where it comes to a head is when you have like that final scene with Watanabe, and through the course of the game, it's like his hands are increasingly becoming more and more and more tied. And when you get to the point of like Sawa's death, Watanabe knows like what went down at that point, right? Because like Yagami was there, Kuwana was there, arcade members were there. We know Soma did this. You know Soma did this. But the cops are saying that Kuwana did it and that there's video footage of this happening. And Yagami's like, if there was video footage, you would see everything. Like, you would know this is not true. Why is everybody after Kuwana when he's not the actual murderer for this particular case? And Watanabe is just like, he can't do anything, you know. He has to fall in line. Like at the end of the day, like this is his job, this is his livelihood. Like he has to follow these rules. Yep. He feels like he can't like live as freely as Yagami can, right? He doesn't exist in that same space. And that showdown with him at the very end with those two is just like, I got really emotional by it. Even for a character that doesn't have a lot of screen time, like you feel the weight on his hands. And ultimately, like he does give Yagami some push and some information that he needs, right? But still his hands are tied, and I'm just like, man, that's fucked up. Like you're a good fucking guy, you're a good fucking cop, and it's just like,
just sucks that public security has a stranglehold on what you can do and what can't you do.
Yeah.
Which further proves like Kuwana's point at the end of the day of just like, look at your system. Your system is fucking up. Like fucking up hard. Right? In your face, like right fucking now. And I'm just like, man, they can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, dude. And I think having Watanabe there, even with him being used pretty sparingly, honestly, especially with him being used pretty sparingly, I think it makes a really good dynamic because of the way that it ends up going. Because like, Watanabe basically knows everything, but he doesn't have that freedom because like the detectives and cops, they strive to do very similar things, but cops have a much stricter set of rules that they need to abide by. So that's why I thought that was a really good thing, where it was a good show of character, where it was like Watanabe just kind of gave Yagami that little push. He couldn't do much more than that without like risking his job, and like he also has to bring home the bag.
Yeah.
So he can just kind of pass the reins off to the guy who has more freedom than him,
who's willing to throw it all away for this cause, you know. And that just, it makes every character in this game feel very human.
Yeah.
You know,
I think this game does a really good job of showing why supporting characters are called supporting characters.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like anybody is really just there just to be there. Everybody helps in some way to further somebody's agenda, to further the overarching plot. Like every character in this game is fucking good.
Yeah, 100%. There's no, I feel like there's no wasted characters here.
Yeah, and speaking of characters, shout out to my boy Tsukumo for getting on the squad for real.
Yeah, man.
Instead of just being a guy who hangs out on the fucking internet cafe, and he basically just works as like a hacker mercenary.
Yo, shout outs to fucking Yokohama 99.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
like,
it's a nice ass office they have too.
Man, they got a
nice office.
Yeah,
bro. It's fucking Sugiura and Tsukumo just balling down there.
And listen, my man Tsukumo, I got all the respect in the world for Tsukumo, especially with the fact that, you know, my man's damn pinky got broken and he still did everything he could.
You need that. Listen, man, it's Tsukumo. My man's got the damn Alienware glowy PC. He needs that to hold down left control to crouch in his games. He put it all in the line.
He did.
For real, dude. Oh man.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely like the fact that Tsukumo was definitely more involved as like an actual character, and he came through with some stuff too, man. Like,
He did.
He was a very integral part of this entire team.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he had the drones ready to go. Like if you needed research or anything, he had it ready to go. Like my man's put in work.
Yeah, I think that this game did a good job of making kind of like rounding out the Yagami team, where it's like they're kind of like the Ninja Turtles, where it's like they're all working towards the same thing, but a lot of them are they're all good at much different things.
Yeah.
They each have like their role to play, right? And no one character has like all of it.
Yeah,
You know, like we have to rely on certain characters for certain things. Incredible. That's all I can say. Just
dude,
incredible.
Yeah.
This game is fucking ridiculous. Like it is like a legit everything that RGG has ever done really just culminated in Lost Judgment, because they've just done everything that they've done well, and they just did it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and even then, like, I didn't like some of the complaints that I had with the original Judgment. For example, trailing missions and stuff like that and everything. They made things better. As far as I go, I still hated the trailing missions.
Yeah, they're still not good, but they're significantly less bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to word it.
Either, right?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Like 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they were better, because there was not nearly as many. Because my God, that might have been like the worst part of it and everything. But it's funny with like every RGG game, there's always that one thing that's in the game is just like, you could have done without that. Majima Everywhere, for example. Fuck that mechanic.
Don't even say that shit around me, bro.
It's a series and it's a studio that just like it remembers at the end of the day it's creating a video game.
Yeah.
So like while we're talking about like a very serious and like really strong crime drama story, the game itself is a fucking video game.
Yeah, like, definitely.
You have Yagami riding on a fucking hoverboard, doing fucking kick flips and playing Tony Hawk.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. You know? I enjoyed that. That was a good addition.
Yeah, dude, going to the damn esports club in the high school and finding out that some motherfucker bugged his arcade stick to make it so he always wins. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, like it is like for better or for worse. Like they play with goofy mechanics, like goofy mini games, and it's just like we're gonna make this a video game at the end of the day.
I'm glad they brought in the dance club thing and everything too, because that was like the perfect like way to throw like the karaoke mechanic like back in the game. Yeah, because they can't do the karaoke because their entire budget and probably more of that would have went towards the karaoke to pay for Yagami's actor.
Even Taki Kimura sing even like 30 seconds of a karaoke song, that would be like 80% of the game's budget just with the 30 seconds.
Yeah,
it's fine. We don't need that anyway because I stan the Seiryu rabbits. Right, they are my fucking.
Mm-hmm.
They are all queens.
I don't need no karaoke songs because I have Long Drill on the fucking beach.
Yep. Yep. But I was like, that's such the perfect alternative to have that aspect back into the game. You know, to have
and I'm glad that they did something like that instead of just doing like Yakuza 0 with the disco mini game. I'm glad they didn't do something like that again.
Right. Oh God. I hated that one.
Yeah.
That damn thing was so fucking hard.
Yeah, dude. I think the game's mini game selection overall was really good because they ended up doing a lot of different things, and some of them a little bit better than others, some of them a little bit worse than others. I'm looking at Robotics Club. Robotics Club is mid as fuck. But for every Robotics Club, we got stuff like the Biker Gang, we got Dance Club, we got all that kind of stuff. That like I still haven't done everything in this game. Like, granted,
I haven't scratched the surface.
Yeah, granted, I haven't like no life this game, but I haven't finished the MRC thing. I haven't done all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because like there's just so much shit.
There really is.
And I already spent a shitload of time on the boxing club because, like, just give me a Hajime no Ippo game that plays like that. Come on, it's fire, dude. Shit.
Yep.
Man, I still need to try the boxing club.
Boxing club's fun. Boxing club's very fun. And like
get sucked into it.
Even the story that's with the boxing club stuff and everything is a pretty solid story too. But speaking of stories, of course, we had the side stories, right? I think my favorite one though is still my teacher that was trying to play it cool the entire time and didn't seem like he would get mad at anything, but Yagami's like, there's an evil within this teacher.
Motherfucker got the goddamn devil gene.
Yeah.
Like, he fucking turns into Heihachi. I'm just like, oh lord, these kids about to get fucked.
There's a lot of really fun sub-stories that come around just like from the addition of the school segment segment of the game.
Yeah.
Like, you got that one, and another one of my favorites was the kid who was trying to cheat on his test. So he painted himself to be one of those fucking
the skeleton.
one of those like medical one of those medical dummies, so he could stay in the school after dark. Like, come on, man, that shit's too good.
One of the just the funniest screenshots is just like you catch the kid and like it's just Yagami and him still in costume just sitting on a bench.
Yeah.
How the fuck did we get here?
I'm saying.
Oh man, yeah, that was a good one. What was another one that was the girl that ran the mystery club or whatever. Like when you first introduce her and Yagami's trying to set up the cameras and stuff like that and everything, and like she's like, "You're perving on him," and he's like, "No, I'm not."
Bro, you got one student that's fucking too smart for their own good.
Yeah, exactly. Amasawa. Yeah, she was a cool character too, and like when you do like her side story and everything stuff like that, and you find out like how she got to what she is and everything. And stuff like that, and you find out like that whole story definitely kind of brought her to light too. So the school stuff was definitely very entertaining with how they did things. But yeah, my teacher that was like turned into Heihachi when they fucked up his garden and stuff, like that shit made me laugh. I was like, oh fuck, he's about to like murder some people, and you find out that they're like, oh yeah, this guy was a world champion professional wrestler, but he got kicked out because he hurt too many people.
Yeah, dude, my man's was like looking into some Tekken 8 King shit before the game ever even got announced. He fucked up too many people.
Yeah, he did.
Bruh. Yeah, I think the two that you mentioned, I think are the highlights for me. Like, granted, I haven't done like a ton of the side quests.
Yeah.
Which it's something that like I'm still like doing post game stuff. It's very easy for me to do that on like the Steam Deck, right? So it's like it's one of those things like right before I go to bed, like I'll knock out a couple things here or there. So I intend to finish a lot of that stuff, especially like the MRC plotline and like see the school clubs and stuff like that. But yeah, those two, the chasing the student at night and the teacher are like the highlights for me.
Yeah, they're very strong.
And I don't know if we have anything left to tackle, but I will say I do appreciate how at the very end of this game, everything sort of wraps back around, right? So like Kusumoto does turn herself in, right? Like she does the right, quote unquote, right thing, which is also a very heartbreaking scene because she's like on the phone with her son. Yeah. Right. Who is freshly like out of coma. Like he's going through physical therapy because he's been in a coma for like 10 years. And it's just like you have this really sweet and like bittersweet moment of just like she's explaining like I have to go away. Right. And he's like, I understand. Like I will be here for you when everything is over, right? And he talks about like he finally took his like first step in physical therapy. Like the doctors let him know like, hey, you will eventually recover, and like she starts crying, right? And in that moment of like she waited all this time for him, and now that he's finally awake, she cannot be there to see him progress, and that shit hurts.
Yeah,
and
dude.
I'm just like, hurt, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like it was for the better because justice for Sawa, right?
Yeah.
And I like how the game wraps kind of back around to the beginning, right? Of when like Yagami found the students bullying and beat the shit out of them. To now you're treated to a scene where you have some new bullies in the exact same spot, but then they get stopped by the former bullies that Yagami kind of set straight, right? And they turned around and and are trying to help create a better space.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a really good like bow at the end of this story, right? You see the girl that they were bullying as well, like put a stop to this incident. And I'm just like, you know what? There's hope.
Yeah.
There's a little hope here.
I'm a really big fan of bookending like that.
Yeah. So with that, I think we kind of let it all out. I don't think there's anything left. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this long show?
Yeah, play this damn series. Play Lost Judgment. Play Judgment. Play those two games. They're great.
Yeah, bro.
As well. Play every RGG game.
Play every RGG game. Even if you don't immediately play Yakuza, don't deprive yourself of playing the Judgment games. You can just play them at any point. It's perfectly fine. Play those games. If you like them, go play Yakuza. Just experience peak.
Experience
peak. Yes.
One of the things I've been trying to drive home is that it doesn't really matter what order you start these in.
Yep.
Because it's just like they're separate, like kind of self-contained stories, right? And it's like you can start Judgment and then go to Yakuza later. You can start Yakuza, go to Judgment afterwards. It doesn't really matter. Like just start whichever one like piques your interest and go from fucking there.
Yeah, man.
Because you're going to be in for an amazing time regardless. And like the cameo stuff, like it works both ways. So definitely play this game if you guys haven't. I mean, if you haven't and you're listening to this, well then you spoiled yourself. But also it doesn't matter because you need to see it. You need to witness it.
Yeah, you need to experience it for yourself 100%.
You need to experience it for yourself because like not only is like the writing good, like the voice acting, both tracks are fucking phenomenal.
Very.
The music is great. Like everything around the production on how this is presented is just like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, they have like absolutely mastered their craft. Yes. Where every big moment in Lost Judgment feels like a movie. And it's crazy how they can pull that shit off.
Yeah. 100%.
In fact, I'm gonna play more of the original Judgment on PC after we're done with this.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Enjoy that 120 frames FPS, baby.
So let's wrap up. Let's get out of here. Let's begin the sign offs. Chase, sign me up, friend. Where can people find you?
If you wanna come on by and follow your boy on Twitter to watch me say stupid shit on a semi-regular basis, you can find me at DiverDownFGC. I am also on Twitch at DiverDownFGC. At the time of this recording going up, I am still on a little bit of a hiatus, but I will be coming back fairly soon. I play a lot of Yakuza and all of that kind of stuff, so drop your boy a follow on those things and just say hi.
There we go. Just say hi to the boy. Ryan.
You can find me back on Twitch, which is RCB_TV. But kind of just stream here and there. Not really a set schedule thing. It's kind of like, hey, I have a little bit of time. Do I want to stream? Sure, we'll stream. But you can find me there. Mainly, though, you can hit up my Twitter account. It is an art account, so I post a lot of artwork that I've been doing. RCB_draws. There is some non-safe for work stuff on there, but hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that, right? You can check out all my artwork that I do there and stuff like that. And of course, you know, being part of the JSB crew with the podcast and everything, stuff like that, you could always hear me there as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Zenosuke, ZNOSUKE. Y'all know the deal. Art, anime, video games. Y'all can also follow the Jack Savage Base Twitter account as well. Keep up to date with anything that we are uploading, both on the JSB GamesCast side of things, which typically goes live every Wednesday, assuming I don't forget.
It's understandable what happens.
It happens sometimes, and you can also follow the at JSB Anime for the anime podcast that we also do that goes up. It is live every other Sunday on twitch.tv/Pinoy_Grigio, Pinoy spelled with 1. That is headed by our fellow JSB member Asher, as well as myself and Jenny, where we talk about anime. And then the audio version and the YouTube version comes out on the Monday afterwards. After you hear this, the next episode is actually going to be pretty special. Stay tuned for information on that. We're doing some pretty cool things. So with that, I think we are done here. Thank you guys for listening to this wonderful Spoilercast episode. I hope we can do more Spoilercast episodes of just stuff. I know Drew is working on one that hopefully we can begin somewhat soon. And I would like to make this kind of a regular thing for various games. So maybe we can start doing stuff like that. But I appreciate
some games deserve it 100%.
100%.
We still need to do a. I don't think we've ever done it, but we need to do a 13 Sentinels one day.
We haven't. I regret not doing it. I need to replay that game first.
Same. I do need to revisit it.
We can definitely talk about that another day. I'm definitely down for it though.
That just sounds like they just need to release a game on PC. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying it could be best game 5 years in a row.
Yep, exactly.
But let's get out of here. Thank you guys for listening. Thank y'all for being here, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Later.